Thank you for tuning in. Get excited because you're ready for Lucky Time Explosion. Wow! Sound effects of explosions. Sometimes wet explosions, like.
It's an art podcast about art and artists, and we're here with four of my favorite people. I'm Brandon Wisecarver. I'm best known for curating a con artist collective from like 2014 or so to 2019. I paint in virtual reality on TikTok, and that's about it.
I am Morgan Lappin. I am a collage artist, and I started something called Brooklyn Collage Collective in 2013, and sniff my own farts.
Yeah, you're not the only one, guy. So, my name is the Super Sucklord. I'm a person from New York City, and I am regionally known as some asshole that makes action figures and attempts to pass them off as artwork with marginal success.
How you doing?
And I'm Wizardskull.
Yes, the great.
I'm an artist.
Wizard, I'm really happy you're back in New York.
Thank you.
How you feeling about that?
Not good.
No?
Not good yet, but very good.
How long have you been back?
3 months so far.
3 months.
What's the problem?
I got laid a lot more when I was poor and struggling as an artist. The richer you get, the harder it gets to get laid.
How rich are you?
Rich enough that I do what I want.
Really? Just
Yeah.
from selling your fucking paintings?
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you really think there's a direct correlation to how much pee you get because of that? Why? How?
Well, it's more than that. It's when you're poor and like you're struggling to be an artist and you're friends with all these other artists who came here and they're all struggling, you all have like this common bond and like you look out for each other more, and like the richer you get, the less of you there is, and now all of a sudden you're just like looking out for yourself.
Were you mostly hooking up with other artists?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you mean there's less of you? What does that mean? Because I'm not rich yet, and I'm looking forward to when that happens to me, but I don't know how it's going to affect me. So I've known you for a while, and I've known you when you were broke. You don't seem any different, but I'd like to hear what's it like on the other side. What happened?
Well, when I say I'm rich, I'm just like, I don't work a job now. I just make my art, and I make it at a somewhat leisurely pace.
When's the last time you had you held a job that wasn't just painting?
I worked at PS1, but I should have just quit.
That's actually something I was going to bring up. I love that you got kicked out of PS1 where you used to work because of your inflatable suit. Can we put that up on the green screen?
I don't know about this story.
Yeah, can you tell that story? How they kick you out, right?
No, I didn't get kicked out. I had my double Mickey suit on, and because you couldn't see my head, they were scared, I guess.
It happens to all the greats. You're never understood in your own time.
You know, I was reading an article. I was at the park the other day where they're doing in Central Park. They do that thing where people are getting dressed up like knights, full on actual armor and like smashing.
Yeah,
things.
my old intern does that.
Yeah, I was reading an article from Luke, from 2013, last night, about his tutelage under you.
Oh, yeah? Nothing but glowing reviews, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. He was like, he paid me $5 an hour, and I stole everything from him.
I take credit for that kid surviving in the world, to be honest with you.
Well, you did a good job.
Yeah.
He's always funny. You know, when I first met Luke, I hated him because we were doing the toy show, and he came in and put his little, rack of toys up and then just put a fucking hammer through the drywall and was like, that's my installation. And I was like, well, I have to patch that drywall, you asshole. And then 2 weeks later when the show was coming down, I became obsessed with the toys and I had to buy a pair. So I still have them on my little shelf right now.
No one bought the hammer?
No one bought the hammer.
He's committed.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
He's committed to the bit. Definitely.
So what is this fucking podcast about? Why did you make me come up here?
I made you come up here because I thought if we were going to do a podcast, me and Morgan, right, we're talking about doing this for a while. And I thought, who would be the best possible people that I would like to have in a room all together? This is it. I hate to tell you this, but you guys are my favorites, so I'm super excited right now. This is like me. I'm very giddy. I'm super excited that we're all sitting
I
down
think
here.
so far I would have listened to this whole show from beginning. I mean, I'm biased. I'm part of it. But I haven't even talked much, and I've been finding it quite entertaining.
You're not bad on the mic, I must say.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not talking more.
Help. No. I mean,
What do you want to talk about, Guy?
what happened this week? So I'm an art handler here and there, and recently this week I did a delivery, and I noticed there was like a square on a side table with 3 lines of Coke on it when I did delivery, and I was like, wow, that's really weird that someone would leave that out.
Was it a piece of artwork?
I learned later on it was, and I don't understand why someone would actually, like, I'd rather have real Coke laid out. Like, why would you want to fake about having 3 lines of Coke?
It's the coasters, isn't it?
But I don't. It may have been I can't. It was a square with like acrylic on top of it, with like those lines trapped underneath the acrylic.
Oh, sick.
I mean, it was pretty cool. But I guess
I
it's
wouldn't
popular,
waste
but-
real Coke on that piece.
I mean, is it to do Coke on the fake Coke? Do you do like the real Coke on the fake Coke? Is that like a thing now? Like,
No, I think it's just a really popular like Etsy coaster.
I still don't understand. Why would you want to, like, I feel like you might as well leave out a hypodermic needle with vodka in it. It'd be the same, just leave out a hypodermic and like be like, yeah, what's up? And just like keep on looking at it and make like you don't really see it, but you do. And like they look at it and everyone is freaked out and awkward.
Everybody loves artwork that's based on drugs.
I can agree.
I think it's a cheap shot, you know. It's
I
so
do it all.
cheap.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, but your cheap shots are kind of your thing in the best of way. I mean that in the best.
I mean, my whole
possible way.
career is a cheap shot.
Yeah, but it's so good because of it.
No.
I'm a fan.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm a big fan.
I know it's hard to accept. We enjoy it though.
Yeah, but look at you guys. You guys are my audience. Great.
That's fine.
I see nothing but success in the future for myself.
I do. People do want to hear weird shit.
All these rich collectors.
What we don't realize is that although, like, I mean, I feel like my life is mundane, but like I realize when I tell people stories about my life and I see the facial reactions, I realize that my life is a little bit different than most people's.
Yeah, I think that's a good reason to get together and chat about stuff. I wanna tell stories about like weird shit that we've seen because we've put ourselves out there a lot to be in New York, to make art, and I'm
You've
sure
been
we've all
through
seen a lot of weird shit.
A lot, because you've been on both ends, you know. I mean, more so on the other end of dealing with artists, more so than you know, sharing your artwork. But that's changing now. But for a very long time, you were on the other end dealing with artists and personalities and.
Yeah, well, you know how that happened is because when I first got here, I was here like 2 weeks, and I'm on Craigslist, and I'm trying to find an opportunity, and I get this response. It's like, oh, we looking for an artist for a solo show. And so I get it. I email him.
What year was this?
This is 2008.
2008.
So it was late 2008. And I get an email back, and I go down to this place in Orchard Street, and I talk to this guy, and he's like, yeah, it's going to be $500 to have a show. And I'm like, you didn't tell me that. I just spent my last $14.50 on a cab to get here. But he like kind of got to me, and I said, listen, I'm not going to pay you $500 because I don't have it. I'm like washing dishes, basically. So I said, I'll gallery sit for you for 2 weeks if you let me do the show. And he said, okay. And then in that 2 weeks, I discovered that he was actually a fortune teller who had turned his palm reading shop into a gallery. And it was like this totally crazy disaster. But the idea of getting that on my resume and starting down, that's how it happened. I started working for this guy named Dino Eli, who was a palm reader turned gallerist. And then on my resume said something on it about, you know, working in the gallery scene. So that parlayed eventually into con artist.
It's very similar to my situation because when I came down here in like 2007, I used Craigslist to find ways to show my art too. I didn't know what else to look for, you know. And there was a group called Antagonist Art Movement. I don't know if you remember that at all.
Never heard of it.
And they used Niagara Bar, and they used to have a downstairs section. They would have group shows. And when I realized like my work made people laugh, you know, and they appreciated it, I was like, oh, cool. Like, I think I'm going to keep doing this. So I really didn't take it seriously. I just wanted to kind of share and see where it went. But when I saw people's reactions, that changed everything.
We've all known each other for like actually quite a while, I think. I wonder what like some of your earliest memories of each other are. Like when's the first time you met these guys, Alex? Wizardskull, Mr. Skull. I'm
I
sorry.
can't remember.
I
No.
remember when I first met you. It was at Brooklyn Fireproof.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you were doing, just talking about your work. And, I think they were
Oh, yeah.
having like those specials where people just show up and like show their work and talk about their work and stuff like that.
I remember somehow you were friends with my old friend Mary Papers.
Yes.
And I saw that fucking sexy Ronald thing. I was like, oh God, not another one of these. And she brought you around to me and pimped you to me and Lemoore Supreme, trying to like get you some followers. And we posted some shit on Instagram. Hey, there's this new guy named Wizardskull, follow him on Instagram. And now you're a gigantic success and you've left us all behind. But if it wasn't for those initial Instagram posts that we did back in the day, you would be nothing. You wouldn't be sitting here right now.
That's why he came here.
A lot of artists hated Sexy Ronald, and they did not like my art.
Why not?
Well, I
first
somehow
came
got
here.
corralled into making a series of action figures of it, which actually turned out to be very successful, and I made money off of it, and then I started to like it. 'Cause no, he came through because we were like, I'm like, yo, we're going to make this figure, and we're going to use like real hamburger wrappers for the packaging. So I'm going to make the figure, and you're going to draw the Ronald on it. And you're going to go and you're going to get cheeseburger wrappers from McDonald's. So go buy a bunch of cheeseburgers. And then he comes back a couple of days later with like a fucking stack of, those wax hamburger wrappers. And I was like, you ate this many cheeseburgers? And he's like, no, there was this cute girl working there and I just charmed her out of them. And I'm like, you? And then he was like, yeah. So we did it. And I had the store in the East Broadway Mall in Chinatown. And we had a big affair and we sold those things for like $350. It was just like the stupid fucking figure based on that ridiculous, stupid character that he did on McDonald's hamburger things mounted on wood. And people lined up to buy these fucking things like fucking idiots. And that was great. I was like, all right, cool, Wizardskull. I guess we're on the same footing now, and now he still exists.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they're so fucking stupid. All of it is so stupid. I can't believe I've committed my life to stupid shit like this. Like, that was my concern for like a whole month.
Yeah.
Making hamburger fucking toys. My livelihood was depending on that succeeding.
Yeah, but think about all the people who create all the what are they called? I forgot. I haven't gone to McDonald's in a minute. The Happy Meal. What are they called?
The Happy Meal toys?
The Happy Meal toys. Oh, all the people creating their whole life was
I use those a lot in my work.
right, of course. And man, I kept them all.
Yeah, I was going to say, how does it feel to have like one of your works be so incredibly bootlegged so many times? Because remember when I found that guy in VR chat dressed up like your Sexy Ronald?
Didn't McDonald's in Japan like rip off Sexy Ronald or something like that?
It was a different restaurant, but it was reported that it was McDonald's. But there
That's
was
good.
a lot
Let them
of
think that.
there was a lot of memes made about that, and I don't like the meme. Well, it would be like the meme where it's like nobody, and then it'll be like Japan, and then it'll show like the Sexy Ronald. So like the meme is like, oh, no one would do this, but look, Japan people are like such freaks. They do this weird Sexy Ronald thing.
Meanwhile,
cutting
it
you
was
out of
really
it.
good old-fashioned American ingenuity that
That's
came
right.
up with
That's
it.
right.
That's right. Man, that is funny. I also think it's really funny that, in the future, we think it's really stupid now, but in the future, art historians are going to be talking about how you can tell a bootleg Sexy Ronald from a real one because
Are
all
they?
the bootlegs have tattoos on them.
Has
And yes,
anybody-
because I'm going to be writing about
Has
it.
Well,
anybody-
I worry about that stuff all the time.
No, dress up like for Halloween. Has there been any like photos of people dressing up as Sexy Ronald?
Yeah,
for,
there's the sexy Ronald costume. That's when a chick wears it.
That's double sexy.
Yeah.
That is double sexy.
It's too sexy.
No, a cosplayer just dressed up as it, and he has like 2 million followers.
I mean, it is kind of frustrating sometimes, and I'm sure you've had this experience, Wizardskull, when you come up with something very sophisticated and high-minded and subtle and supremely intelligent, and nobody goes for it, and then you just churn out a bunch of fucking degenerate crap, and people love it. And then after a while, that's what you become. It's like, why should I put all this effort into coming up with like great concepts and complicated ideas when people just want stupid shit with dicks on it?
Yeah, or like how the algorithm like rage baits everything and like, conflict is super in. Like that's my entire TikTok right now is just me doing this abstract expressionist art that has this history that I'm like talking about while I'm doing it. But all my interaction is just kids going, "You didn't paint anything. That's just some lines. Like, what the fuck is that?" And then just constantly explaining it over and over and over again. It's a really weird phenomenon.
Surprised people are confused about anything anymore.
I think people are getting more confused about everything.
Oh.
Because like as we grow our ability to like know stuff, like we lose our core knowledge.
Well, I just feel like logic has been completely lost.
I guess so. I just think there's too much of
Which is
everything.
entertaining, though. Which is entertaining. To a lot of people, it wouldn't be entertaining. For me, like all logic loss is like at this point, I mean, you're going to hate it or you might as well take it as entertainment. I take it as entertainment.
People were getting too smart for their own good anyway. We could use a great big dumbing down. I think it would be beneficial.
Are we all helping to do
How
that?
could that happen? Like, what?
I don't know if I'm
What do we
helping.
do?
I'm riding it though. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the less I know, the less suffering I'll do.
I can't argue with that. I agree with you.
I mean, I lived in other places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where else did we live in?
I lived in Oregon for 6 years when I went to school, and I tried to make it as an artist there. which
Portland?
sucked. I lived in Eugene.
Oh, I know Eugene.
Yeah, it's a nice town, but there's nothing going on for people that do this kind of shit.
Right.
You know, you want to work in any kind of media or arts or entertainment, you're nowhere. And I figured if I'm going to fail, I may as well fail in New York. And also I could live free with my mom. Instead of pay fucking rent to fail, I fucking fail and not pay rent and live with my mom and just really lean into the failure.
I lived with my parents till I was 28.
I was 36.
Nice.
Yeah, fuck it.
I mean,
what am I supposed to do?
I was.
I mean,
friends-
I had a
You were
job.
friends though with your mom.
Yeah, I'm cool with my mom.
That's the thing. Like I was friends with my parents, and we would smoke weed together and watch movies and eat and smoke more weed and hang out, and that was the way it went. And so there was no reason for me to like want to run out of there so quickly.
I must say, it wasn't until I had to start earning money that that I had any success whatsoever. When I was living at my parents' house, well, with my mom, my father didn't live there. I was making shit and I was doing stuff, but like I didn't really hit on anything until like I had to make money off the work. Then I came up with my bootleg figures out of abject desperation. I said, I need something cheap that stupid people will buy that I can make a lot of, you know, and that's what I settled on. And it happened immediately. Like when I got my first art studio and I had to start paying the big whopping $700 a fucking month, you know, which at the time was a lot of money to have to make off something I'd never made a fucking cent off of. And now suddenly I got to do this every fucking month. You better come up with something. And I don't have, I'm nobody who's going to spend hundreds of dollars on a painting or a fucking whatever. I better make shit that costs $20 and just make a lot of them because it's like, you know,
You got into the museum of our time, which is reality television.
I don't know. That was much later, but
That yeah, but it made me think of that because you made the Jerry Saltz figure, and Jerry has that saying where he's like, if you want to be an artist, like advice to artists, where he says, don't.
yeah, that's my advice.
Well, you have a
Yeah.
story about that when you gave it to him. I remember you told me at some point.
I've got all kinds of Jerry Saltz stories, which are totally tired at this point. But what's this? What do you want?
No, I think the first time you gave him. The
I
Jerry
gave him a
Saltz.
couple of them. Well, he told me I could make them,
Right.
and so I did. And I gave him a couple, and I don't think he really knew what he was looking at because he's a little too old to get the context of that. Like he was a teenager when Star Wars came out, so it didn't hit in the same way it hit people, you know, that were my age, you know, when I was
Right.
like 8 when it came out. So it became my personality, whereas he was a little too, he didn't know how to look at it and like didn't know how to put a context around it. And he just thought toys were cheap. It was like when I told him I was selling them at the time for $150, he was like, what? I was like, well, what would you charge for? And he was like, $5. What do you mean $5? I made this shit by hand, and it's a statement, and it's being contextualized as art. You should be able to get that. I don't think to this day, I don't think he fucking quite understands it. I talk to him every once in a while. He's always commenting on my fucking potato chip reviews, and like, and I don't know. I just, it's been the problem. I think a lot of the time with making artwork that centers around toys is that the generation that's still doing the gatekeeping to the real art money and the real art institutions
Right.
is just hasn't quite caught up to it yet. Either that or they totally have, and I'm just a fucking hack and I'm being left behind.
Well, I always say that, like, the art world, because people are like, oh, what's it like working in the art world? What's it like being in the art world?
I have no idea.
And I'm like, that's 4 people I don't know in Chelsea. Like, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, I got in trouble once at a toy convention. It was like this convention they do in LA called DesignerCon. And it's like a bunch of art people making toys and crafts, and it's all art. But I was on a panel on a stage and I was saying this isn't the art world. And they got so mad because they thought I was saying this isn't art. They didn't realize that there's a difference between art and the art world.
Right.
And that you can make art your whole life and never interact with the art world. And probably you're better off.
Yeah. I feel like art history gets, like, it has a linear path that you can follow, but only in hindsight. Like, I'm doing a lot of research for art history stuff for my stupid TikToks where I'm like painting nothing. Like, the art is not the painting. It's me talking about some art historical context. And it's, it seems to just stop at like the 50s and 60s. Like, after you get past the 60s, when they're playing with new materials, everything kind of just fractures.
No,
it stops
in the 80s.
Yeah? When's it stop to you?
Like Basquiat. It stops at Basquiat.
Yeah?
Maybe.
I got this tattoo, and every time that I hear they're going to do a Basquiat play, or like they're like, we're making a Basquiat Broadway show, I start fucking Googling tattoo removal. It's like so overplayed.
I don't know. I mean, when I'm making my work and I'm like, this is brilliant and it doesn't matter and nobody's ever going to care or remember it, and I'm going to make like $50 off of this shit, and then it's just done. And it's like, and part of me is like, why do you care, asshole?
Yeah.
And the other part of me is like, what the fuck? Like, do I care if like the world remembers me?
I think we love that though. Like, artists love that. We complain about it, but we also love it. We also encourage it. This kind of like hero worship and this like putting somebody on a pedestal.
Yeah, but it's like, when are you going to worship me? It's like, when is my turn to get worshipped already?
Well, that's
I'm
why
tired
you're here.
of being like, unknown.
Have any of us went to art school?
Yeah.
I didn't.
I dropped out in the 5th grade.
I have no training.
You have no training?
Yeah.
Me neither.
You just got practice.
Nothing. I'm a collage artist.
So your experience at art school, do you feel like they taught you how to think? What was the biggest thing you took away from it?
No. I mean, the biggest thing that I took away from it was that all you need is a good line of bullshit. Because oftentimes I majored in sculpture at the University of Oregon, and like, they just teach you formal skills. They don't teach you anything about business. They don't teach you anything about selling or marketing. They just teach you about materials and how to look at art and how to talk about art, which is not unuseful.
Yeah.
But oftentimes I'd made shit that was terrible, and I had to shuck it, at the crit, to get the teacher to give me a passing grade. And I was really good at shining turds, and I was like, wow, that's like the main thing I learned. I didn't really learn anything about the stuff that I do now. Didn't start until I started working like art jobs.
Right.
Thank you for listening to Lucky Time Explosion, a green screen extravaganza experience available exclusively to official Lucky Timers. This episode was recorded at Solas Studios in Manhattan, New York, helping artists make cool shit since 2016.